Welcome to another edition of Coach's Corner, sponsored by Fats Cafe. I'm here with Coach Brandt, and we're going to discuss women's basketball. So first, can you talk a little bit about each of your seniors and what they meant to your program?
Well, the seniors that we had this year were, excellent people, good students, good basketball players, and they meant a lot to our program. I'll just talk about generally that, they did a great job for us. We were in a situation where we played so many close games and we just could not quite get over the hump. Looking at our schedule compared to everybody else in the region, they do the formula, and we played the toughest schedule, which is what we usually do. We try to schedule as tough as we can, and we did do that. But in the regional rankings, they listed everybody in the region rankings, and we played the toughest schedule of anybody. So, it came out this year, we just weren't able to win. If we'd have won some of those games, early in the season especially, and got some momentum going and a little bit more confidence, I think we'd have been right there. And so I think it's important to play a tough schedule. Just unfortunately, we didn't quite win the games. But each of them, Cassie did a great job this year being able to, overcome all the block shots and become the all-time leading shot blocker here at USCA. Caitlin did a great job with her leadership role, and she was just kind of tough because she was kind of in the starting lineup, in and out, but she accepted her role. She did a great job, had a great attitude. Her leadership was great. Stephanie Ball did a great job for us. I know she had injuries during the year. They missed a few games, which hurt us because at the time we had all three of our top scorers were out with injuries, and so that was a difficult situation for us. Mariah did a great job, got 1,000 points, not necessarily here, but combined with her points that she had at Oregon, which were, she did a great job of coming off two injuries. She had an ACL injury and surgery on her Achilles, and one of those surgeries is bad enough to come back from, but to come back from two of them, that just showed her desire, dedication, and her attitude about coming back to play, and I was very proud of that fact. And then probably Tiffany, she probably would be the unsung hero award. She would probably get that because she did a great job, and she was, not able to play a whole lot. She didn't get a whole lot of playing time, but, I just think showing the character of her as an individual with the attitude that she had and the work ethic, she was always positive. She always come with a practice, and say, hey, what's up, coach? Just had a great attitude, and she was very instrumental in part of our team of being positive and staying with it, in the struggles that we had. So I was very proud of Tiffany, and I think she did a great job handling that. And, I just think that speaks volumes about her as a person as she goes through life. That's going to be a very good attribute for her.
Yeah, and like you said, playing the tough schedule in the region, that's good for especially the underclassmen, I think. The seniors leading the way there against the best teams in the region, showing that your team is right there, and just kind of giving the younger players, kind of leading their way, I guess, to show
right.
that you're really right there.
And they
to work that much harder.
They got to understand that it's hard for them to understand when you don't win.
Right.
When you're close, you're close. But that's something we talked about as we approached our off-season workouts, that we were very close, and we don't want to be satisfied with close. We don't want to be satisfied with losing. We want to make sure that we hate to lose, and that's something that we're going to do this spring, just communication-wise, talking about it, and then playing different contests. And, the drills that we do, I think they need to be competitive. So you have a winner and a loser, and you just get that feel of winning and try to despise that feel of losing.
Right. So your team suffered a lot of injuries this year. How are those players progressing?
I think they're doing really well. Emery, with her surgery, I think she's ahead of schedule. She's the type of player that she pushes herself too hard. And our job with her mostly is to hold her back, because she just wants to get back out there so badly, which is great. But, you have to be careful about that because you don't want to have any setbacks. But she's progressing really well, and I think that she'll come back stronger than ever on that. Rocky's working hard on her. She had a little trouble with it. It didn't really heal the way it should have, and it seemed like, it was really tight, and they were talking about actually going in there and having a doctor manipulate it to get to more range of motion. But ended up somehow something just clicked, and she ended up getting a lot more range of motion here recently, and so that's going to progress well for her. And it's just been a tough year with those injuries, but we'll get them back, and I know they're going to be even more hungry to get out there on the field and the court, because when you sit there and watch, you're limited to what you can do besides, hey, great job,
right,
and get after it. So I think that they'll be hungry and will be really good for us next year.
Well, that's also positives, having them back. Well, especially being the games so close last year, and with the addition of those players that were injured last year, it's just, I think, good things to come with that. So can you tell us a little bit about the players you've already signed for next year?
We signed 3 early. We signed a point guard from Florida. I think she's going to be really, really solid for us. She's not real flashy. She's not lightning quick, but she's hard-nosed. She takes care of the ball. And it's always good in the point guard situation that you can have somebody that can shoot too, so they can't sag off you. And she's got a really nice pull-up jump shot. She's got a really nice three-point shot, and she can shoot from distance. So she will do a great job for us, I believe. And then we have a 6'2" inside player that was the regional player of the year in her region in Georgia. I was able to watch her play in the state tournament, her final game when they lost. But I'm so very excited about that. She does a great job of posting up. She does a great job at the high post, throwing to the low post. I haven't told Emory about this yet, but I think she's going to be Emory's best friend just because of the way she passes. And they worked the high-low in high school so well, and she'd be down at the bottom catching passes and scoring, but I was really impressed at the way she found the other post player, which will be Emory sometimes next year. And so she's going to do a great job for us. And just to have a little bit of that height, it's just important with Cassie leaving to have somebody come in there and step in. And, obviously she's going to be a freshman, and so it'll take a little while, but I think that she's a freshman that will be able to come in and, get some important playing time right away. And then we have a forward coming from Missouri. It's going to be, I think, a good player for us. And, when you recruit them, you always think they're going to be good, but there's so many different variables that come into play when they get here. Because of the competition increase and just being away from home, how they react. But on paper and looking forward, all 3 of them look really good. And she's the one from Missouri. Is a very good penetrator and driver, which we don't have too many of those. We have a lot of spot-up shooters, but she's one that can attack it off the dribble. And so I think that she'll do a great job for us and something that we don't have that we need. And then we're looking for probably 2 more players here this spring, and we're trying to be pretty picky because we need some immediate help, and so we're looking for possibly a transfer from the junior college level or Division I. Primarily, we may end up with a high school player, if it's the right fit and we see some good potential from them, but we are just trying to be selective here in the last scholarship or 2 that we have.
Nice. So y'all recently started your postseason workouts. How are those going?
Pretty good. We just, we have to go 14 days from our last game, and so it actually came up, I think, Thursday of spring break, so we got started on Monday. But we're off to a good start. I think the players, for the most part, are working hard, and Coach Wrights and I, we want to make sure that this is a fun time of year because I think if their attitudes are good and, about being fun and trying to improve is a lot better than being a drag. And, I think this is a great time for a lot of skill work to increase their ability and not so much conditioning. Yes, we need to lift weights, but not a whole lot of conditioning, because when you condition now, it really doesn't have a whole lot of correlation for next fall when you start playing. So more agilities and just try to improve their quickness and strength and a lot of different skill work. But hopefully we're off to a good start, and we're going to try to do some different team building games in there. We played one the other day, and I think it went pretty well, and so I think that's all important this time of the year.
So what can the fans expect from the returning players this year?
Well, I think they can expect more wins. I think none of our players were satisfied with the games, how the games came out, and so I feel very confident that we're going to have a couple players step in there. The new players going to step in there, but the returning ones will have 4 seniors. I think that they can expect more wins from them. That's my expectation, definitely. We were just kind of snake bitten this year with those games, a lot of close games, and traditionally our teams usually come out on top on those. So Emory has guaranteed it's not going to happen like that next year. She said we're going to win all the close ones next year. So there they have it right there. But that's good. I mean, that's the mentality that you need to have, and I think that she's such a great competitor, and that's something that we really missed from her was her competitiveness, because a lot of times that expands and expounds to different players on the court, and just fighting and going. And so we're going to be really excited to get her back there. But we'll play a lot better next year, I think, and win a lot more games.
So what are your personal expectations for your team?
Very much on the same line
Yeah.
there. I was just totally disappointed this year, and I felt that we had a pretty good team, and I guess part of it is kind of encouraging, discouraging, but so many of the coaches have talked to me, like even at the regional tournament, mentioned about how good of a team that we had, but just couldn't win the games. And I think our reputation is pretty good at USC Aiken, that we play hard and we play good basketball, and So that's kind of encouraging that a lot of the coaches said that we were a good team and were scared to play us, and but it's also discouraging because you were so close and you couldn't get the job done. So we'll try to use it on the encouraging way instead of the discouraging.
Nice. Well, we certainly wish you the best with your postseason workouts and the rest of your recruiting process. Thank you for watching another edition of Coach's Corner with Coach Brandt.
And Fats Cafe.
And Fats Cafe.